It turns out there's a fourth leg to the blockchain trilemma. It's actually a quadlemma. In addition to security, decentralization, and scalability, it turns out that the damn thing actually has to work when you need it as well. In this regard, some of our biggest competitors have proven that they cannot be trusted to do the job with their recent and ongoing stumbles. Meanwhile, Cardano is building a stellar reputation for consistent reliability. Ready? Let's go. Today, we are going to discuss yet another Solana halting, whatever that's supposed to mean, the Bored Ape Yacht Club metaverse minting debacle that did not go quite to plan, and they seem to believe it has something to do with the blockchain that they're using. And finally, the Cardano 360 and all of the updates there for April. If you enjoy shadowboxing in front of oddly lifted pickup trucks on snowfields, or if you're finding value in these videos each weekday, please consider delegating to the Army of Spies stake pool, ticker AOS. Man, these Solana outages are like the gift that keeps on giving. It brings a smile to my face every single time. It's sort of like I leave my house every day and I never know. I'll be walking down the sidewalk and every once in a while, somebody's just going to run up and hand me $100 bill. It makes me happy every single time. I do feel bad for the people, for the Solana people trying to use their blockchain and finding they can't use it at certain times. I do feel bad for them. I'm not rejoicing in their pain, but I think it does highlight the importance of a well-built, well-architected blockchain that doesn't just scale, it actually does its job. It actually has reliability. You can actually trust it to do what it's supposed to all the time. I imagine this was what it was like to have an automobile in, say, the 1930s. I'm sure you would try to invite your friend over and say, hey, let's ride in my automobile tomorrow. And your friend's probably really excited, like, oh, we're going to ride in the automobile. This is excellent. Then your friend comes over at the appointed time and the car just doesn't start. And you're probably like, hey, man, the car actually running is kind of a luxury. The car actually starting and running, that happens sometimes, but sometimes we have a halting. This appears to be the life of a Solana person. I feel like if Cardano had been designed with such singular pursuit of scalability, they would have been done in 2019. But there's a reason it took a little bit longer to build Cardano than Solana. Speaking of blockchain failures, you're probably aware that apparently the biggest NFT minting ever just took place. Bored Ape Yacht Club developed a metaverse and they just minted the land parcels for this metaverse. No surprise, the organization behind Bored Ape Yacht Club made a huge amount of money, almost $1/3 of $1 billion. Obviously a great day for them. I think any company in the world is going to be extremely happy on any given day when they can make almost $1/3 billion. But unfortunately for their customers, they chose Ethereum. Here you can see on Etherscan, the other side, that's the metaverse. The other side, OTHR token, fees over the last 24 hours, $177 million. $177 million. The gas fees were more than half as much as they actually made on the entire mint. That was a colossal amount, the biggest mint ever, and the gas fees were more than half of that amount. This is not how crypto changes the world, guys. It's hard not to describe this as highly parasitic middlemanning of elite art collecting. The customers did notice $177.5 million in gas fees just for minting. I'm still shaking. This poster seems to have summed it up. That other side mint was awful today. It cost 7.5K USD in Ape to buy a piece, but you had to put down another 7.5K USD worth of ETH gas fees. No kidding, 2 to 2.5 ETH for that transaction. Ridiculous. Even Yuga Labs, despite making almost $1/3 billion, had to say something about the situation. They responded with, "We're sorry for turning off the lights on Ethereum for a while. It seems abundantly clear that ApeCoin will need to migrate to its own chain in order to properly scale. We'd like to encourage the DAO to start thinking in this direction." If you somehow think that Ethereum is the future, be aware that the biggest Ethereum NFT project now disagrees with you. Meanwhile, in Cardano, it's nothing but clear skies ahead and cheery news leading up to the Vossel Hard Fork Combinator event in June. First up on the April Cardano 360 was David Taylor, global marketing at the CF. He said they're hiring a lot at the Cardano Foundation. They've acquired a bunch of community managers and they have 5 marketing positions currently open. They've got a 50-foot by 20-foot booth at Consensus for input output, the Cardano Foundation, and partners. That'll be in June on the 9th through the 12th in Austin. They'll also hold a Cardano community event the night before on June 8th if you get a chance to go down there. And there will be an Eventbrite sign-up page for that. Morgan Schofield, head of ecosystem growth at IOG, spoke with people from Milkomeda, Wanchain, and IOG's own EVM Sidechain. Sebastian of Milkomeda said the current version of their sidechain has limited functionality with bridging for ADA and some other tokens like World Mobile Token, USDC, and USDT. He described the current bridging experience as not 100% what they want and kind of a beta, but they've seen good adoption so far. He said Milkomeda is currently a sidechain, but they are researching how to become an L2, which would inherit the security guarantees of the Cardano base layer. We've discussed this on this channel before in the context of DeFi Llama refusing to count the Milkomeda total value locked toward the TVL of Cardano, since they say Milkomeda does not yet inherit the security guarantees of the Cardano base layer. Sebastian said they are very interested in the reference inputs and inline datum SIPs that will be implemented with the Vossel hard fork, since they want to take the state of Milkomeda and make that data available on the Cardano base layer so that it can be used by Plutus smart contracts and seen by parties syncing the chain. Morgan next talked to Dr. Weijia Zhang of Wanchain. He said they select blockchains for connection based on criteria of influence and technical merit, and that put Cardano at the top of their list because Cardano proof of stake is highly scalable, has low transaction fees, and low energy use, things we've talked about many times in this channel. They will bring interoperability with Ethereum and Wanchain blockchain. He also addressed the recent spate of bridge exploits and Vitalik's sentiment that bridges are inherently unstable, explaining how Wanchain will attempt to achieve a higher level of security, which apparently only became possible once Cardano added support for Schnorr signatures and SECP 256K1. Yes, cryptographic signature schemes are still a big deal, despite the fact we never talk about them. I think the crypto social media scene probably spends exponentially more time talking about our favorite cartoon animal, JPEGs, which is just fine too. Finally, Morgan talked to Catherine Stacy, who is in marketing for the IO EVM sidechain. She pointed out that Cardano has been thinking about EVM sidechains since clear back in 2017 when they published 2 papers on the topic. She took us through the EVM sidechain roadmap consisting of 4 phases: the standalone testnet, the passive sidechain, the active sidechain, and main chain deployment. The passive sidechain is when the node can read from the Cardano testnet. In the active sidechain stage, the sidechain can actually take action on the Cardano testnet. And of course, stages 1 and 4 are self-explanatory, being the standalone testnet and main chain deployment. Next up, we had Marlowe talk. I covered Marlowe quite a bit on this channel in the early days because I think it's such an interesting feature of the Cardano ecosystem. But if you don't remember, Marlowe is the low-code domain-specific language in Cardano. And you can code smart contracts in Marlowe just by using Blockly, which is a purely graphical tool. You just kind of move around these blocks on the screen and you can code a smart contract. We heard from Dominika Bukowska, who is the marketing manager for the Marlowe Pioneers program. Yes, that's the thing. There will be Marlowe Pioneers. We also heard from Omar Hussein, who is the product manager for Marlowe. The Marlowe Pioneers program will last 8 weeks, and the link for the first cohort registration is in the description box for the April Cardano 360. Daniel Rebar talked about DReps. Cardano holders will be able to elect one or more DReps on a fund-to-fund basis. He mentioned that DReps will be really important to make sure the vast number of proposals get all the attention they deserve. For instance, in Fund 8, they have 1,000 proposals. Previous rounds have involved a cumulative 3.5 thousand proposals and 1 million votes. Then it was time for my favorite part. You already know what it is. Triple H, Harrison, Hemsley, Hammond, plus John Woods. Kevin Hammond said the network is looking great. 73% of pools are on 1.34.1. 1.35 will be rolling out in the next few weeks. They've just pushed another parameter upgrade from 80 KB to 88 KB. They'll also have an announcement on economic parameter changes soon. I think this has been something that people have been looking forward to, dreading / waiting for a long time. Nigel Hemsley talked about the work leading up to the June 29th Fossil hard fork. He says the exchanges are all lined up to do some testing. They've also got a few partner projects lined up to do some testing. John Woods reminded us that it'll take one epoch for the hard fork changes to take effect. These are changes that dApp developers will actually have to actively take advantage of. They have to actually use them. The dApps won't just automatically get faster with the 3 SIPs and other changes in the Vossel hard fork. The dApp developers are actually going to have to actively exploit the availability of these tools. Reading between the lines, we should probably be prepared for it to take a while for the projects to actually build around the presence of these tools. There's going to be a test net, and of course they're hoping the developers will get in there and figure things out during the test net. But I think we can rest assured this is not going to be any kind of off-on switch like the Vossel hard fork happens, and then all of a sudden all the dApps run really fast. I don't think that's going to be the case. John also talked about input endorsers. This is a really big topic, and it's something that's coming in the future. It's not anything that we're going to get in June with Vossel. This is something for the future, but I think this is going to end up being a huge advantage for Cardano. John said the crucial thing here is that the Cardano network currently has one type of block that is used for both consensus and storing transaction data. And I think this is the best, most straightforward explanation of input endorsers I've heard so far, for sure. So we've got one type of block right now, does both consensus and transactions. With input endorsers, the key idea is having 2 types of blocks. One would hold transactions and another would be to achieve consensus. The consensus block will happen every 20 seconds. It won't hold transactions. It will just reference blocks, other blocks that hold transactions. The blocks that hold just transactions will be streaming constantly in these flurries between the consensus blocks that happen every 20 seconds. This kind of harkens back to an explanation that Charles gave of input endorsers some time ago in an AMA. He said it was sort of like a heartbeat. Like you'd have, my recollection, at least, my interpretation of what he was saying is that you'd have like a big heartbeat. That would be like the consensus block. You have like boom, and then it'd be like tick, 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 boom, tick, 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 tick. So all those little ticks are the transaction blocks, and the big boom is the consensus block that happens every 20 seconds. And then it'll reference all of those little ticks, which are the transaction blocks, the ones holding the actual transaction data. He says this will bring us a super fast L1 that we don't even need right now. This is going to make us so fast, we don't even need this level of scalability and speed right now. Our current technology is already meeting the demand. Input endorsers is an attempt by Cardano to get ahead of the game and be the most ready for the future, more ready for scalability in the future than our competitors. This is a really interesting thing to think about when you look at what's happened just over the last couple of days. Ethereum can't even do a metaverse launch for Bored Ape Yacht Club without these incredible gas fees. Solana, for their part, can't figure out how not to break down occasionally and have to halt block production. I say occasionally, but in my head, what I really meant was all the time. Meanwhile, Cardano, our technology is currently meeting the demands on our blockchain, and they're already building out the next thing, this next huge thing that's going to bring us to a level of scalability and speed that we don't even need yet. Next up, Matthew Capps talked to Pi of SundaeSwap and Ryan Matovu of Orbis and Ardana here in his capacity with Orbis. Pi said the biggest challenge so far has been the switch from the global state of an account balance system to the local state of an EUTXO system. However, the benefit, as we've discussed many times on this channel, is that sharding is basically already built into an EUTXO system. And this has great advantages for scaling in an EUTXO system that just aren't there in the account balance world. Ryan talked about ZK rollups, which of course are the scaling solution of Orbis. He reminded us that zero-knowledge proofs have been a part of cryptography since the 1980s and are a way to prove something to someone without revealing that thing itself. We've heard Charles talk for a long time about zero-knowledge proofs on his AMAs. ZK rollups bundle up a bunch of transactions and submit that bundle to the main chain in a way that proves that the transactions happened non-maliciously on the L2 in a way that is compliant with the rules of Cardano. And that bundle will take up less space on the main chain than the actual transactions would. Ryan explained that EUTXO is actually better than account balance for ZK rollups because of the local state and the potential to better parallelize transactions. If you're new to all this, Cardano is EUTXO and blockchains like Ethereum are account balance. So he's saying that Cardano is actually better for ZK rollups than Ethereum, which is kind of hilarious because ZK rollups have sort of featured as one of the linchpins of the Ethereum scaling strategy. Shahaf Bar Geffen came out to talk about Djed. He said Djed is going to be the most sophisticated algorithmic stablecoin created to date. They have 25 partnerships already signed for Djed. The public testnet will be here in the coming days. The private testnet is already live. After the public testnet, there will be 2 security audits, which are expensive, but I think they're taking every possible precaution to make sure that Djed is secure. He says if nothing comes up, they're looking at June or July to be live. At first, he kind of said June, and then there was a little bit of talk of July. You know me. This is software development. If I hear June, July, I automatically assume November. But we'll see. I think they can probably beat November. But if November rolls around and they're like, we're launching Djed, I'd be like, yeah, software. You can participate in the Djed public testnet with your NAMI wallet and some testnet ADA. You can get that from Faucets. You probably did this during the SundaeSwap testnet. You can do this at djed.xyz. That's djed.xyz, where you can mint and burn Djed, the stablecoin, and Shen, the reserve coin. So we covered this type of triple coin algorithmic stablecoin system. I love it. And we covered it based on what had been done with Sigma USD, which is the same kind of tricoin system. I think it's genius. Coty has also opened a fund on top of the Catalyst infrastructure to fund teams to build plugins to platforms like WordPress for AdaPay. Finally, Tim Harrison revealed they're going to start releasing more standalone content along with the mid-month update and the Cardano 360s. And those bigger shows will become more like highlight reels of all of these standalone events. I hope you're starting out a great week, and I will talk to you soon.